Ascension is when your consciousness is expanded to the point where you're all that is and all that's present in your physicality. Humanity's here to do the most incredible thing that's ever happened in the universe, a whole planet ascending all at once. I mean, it's done before, but it's taken generations and stuff. Here we can do it in as short as 400 years or even 40 years, which on the galactic time scale of billions of years is instant.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Wetzel, and I'm excited to have Peter I said it so well when I started, and now I can't say it. DeBenedittis. Peter DeBenedittis. And Peter is an awakened Ascension Coach. And I'm really excited to have Peter here today because we are going through these crazy times, and everybody's talking about the fifth dimension and how we're upgrading. And there's so many people that really don't understand, number one, what that means and how we're going to grow from all of this. So I'm excited. Thank you, Peter, for being here with us today.
Thank you, Lisa, for inviting me. This is my passion. I can't wait to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, me too. So first of all, you are a channel. And so I want to break this down for the people that just may have jumped in and may not necessarily know what a channel is. So first of all, what is a channel? And then who or what do you channel?
Okay, that's a great place to start. So it's not like I talk to entities. It's not like that at all. I have done enough work to loosen my focus on 3D and expand my awareness and consciousness so that I'm in an energy field, and it's just an expansive oneness field, all that is field. And then I just turn my attention to any entity I could name or know their frequency signature of. And if I name them, I can just be in their field. And then it's a matter of getting information. And it's not like they're talking. I'm in an energy field, so I have to translate that into human 3D words. And I'll know if it feels correct, I'm saying the correct words. And if it doesn't feel right, then I'm not saying the correct words. So I can actually reach out to any entity I choose. I've got my favorites, right? My team, Archangel Michael, my sacred higher self, of course. I like talking to Sekhmet. I've recently been channeling the Dragon Collective, all kinds of fun stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. I like the Dragon Collective.
Yeah, they're really cool when they come through.
That's a little bit different than the norm, and I'm going to take a little detour off on that because I am kind of curious about what is the Dragon Collective.
Yeah, so
how would you describe that?
Yeah, so they're a primordial energy force of consciousness, all right? It all comes down to consciousness. And so they're a grouping of consciousness that has a lot of the attributes that we would call dragon-like. And they've been around since the seeding of humanity. When we came to the planet Earth and started to express as humans, they were there in the mix with that. And so they bring a lot of the stuff that, you got to understand too, that there's always been good and bad in the world. And so humans perceive it. And of course, the people who win the war write the history. So in our history books, we make dragons off as really evil and stuff like that, satanic pointy ears. But really, they're the force that represents go out and get it, right? Mm-hmm. Just do this because you're magnificent and you have the power. You can have all the wealth and treasure you desire because that's what it's like to be alive in the world. And they're an energetic force and a grouping that's like, yeah, we like expressing our consciousness in that way.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, and it's not the typical fantasy fairy tales of the dragon is always the bad guy.
No, not like that at all. Although they don't mind that. They kind of take a little bit of pride. And yeah, you want to say that's that about us? Sure, why not?
Yeah. Okay, and just so everybody knows, this is not going to be the main point or focus of this conversation. I just got off track.
No, it's fun. If they're dragons, how could you not like it?
I think everybody needs to know a little bit more about the dragons. So getting back to more or less your beginning on this journey, how did you become a channel? What's the story with that?
Okay. So I did a lot of clearing work in my life. Ramp, the School of Enlightenment was important. Oneness University was super important. And what that is you basically go inside and you find your densities. Usually that's trapped emotions and unconscious beliefs that are cycling through you. And you just give them full expression. Anything fully expressed turns to bliss. When you do that, you automatically open up your expansiveness. You're in the oneness field. That's what it's all about. Oneness University, oneness field. Okay. So you're in that and you get more connected. And then all of a sudden it's all out there. And then it becomes a game of how much do I want to intermix my consciousness with the other consciousness that I'm perceiving. And for me, of course, it started with my sacred higher self, my soul grouping. And that eventually became a merge. Just recently, I realized there's no longer a distinction between what I see as Peter and what I see as my soul. It's all expressing all the time here. Now, I can focus more on the 3D realm, or I can focus more on that expansive realm. But yeah, it's just wild. So channeling and this all opening was as I did my work, did my processes to clear the densities, I had more and more availability. Then it was just really a matter of learning how to use it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how do you feel that you can help people with their gifts and channeling?
Yeah. So it's like this. I call myself an Ascension Coach for a reason. Humanity's here to do the most incredible thing that's ever happened in the universe, a whole planet ascending all at once. I mean, it's done before, but it's taken generations and stuff. Here we can do it in as short as 400 years or even 40 years, which on the galactic time scale of billions of years is instant, right? So this is the hottest ticket in the universe. We all showed up as souls that were aligned with this. So we get to be here and in the front row seat, in the audience, and on the stage. We're the ones doing the ascension. Okay. So once you get to the level of seeing that that's what's really going on, that's really the only game that's worth playing. Everything else is kind of fun and it's important to pay the bills and all that stuff, but that's really the only game worth playing. So what I see myself is a person who has a background in education and an understanding of when I was given these gifts and sought them out through my own work, how to put them together in very concrete steps that are simple and they're not necessarily easy to do because you have to face your inner truth, right? You have to be authentic with who you are. And most people will run screaming from their fears rather than actually express them. So they would do everything they can to avoid their sadness or their anger. It's not correct. It hurts too much. Why would I go there, right? But if you can get into it and understand that as you release it, you open up, then it's just a little simple guidance. Okay, now I've got this expanded state. What do I do with it? Oh, you mean this is what ascension's like. So that's what my wife Tracy and I do is we specialize in laying out concrete steps, helping people take those steps so they can grow into the bigness of who they are.
Yeah. Well, and I want to really kind of focus on this for just a second because everything that you just said, people don't really understand that every soul on earth at this particular time chose to be here or was meant to be here or whatever. And what my
Absolutely.
guides always say, there's no babies on earth right now.
Right.
Yeah. All of the souls are old wise ones. There's no babies and, they've all done all of the work to be here to transcend into this newer level of consciousness. And what you've said about people being uncomfortable with looking at their baggage is a huge thing that, it is uncomfortable. It's not fun. Nobody really wants to go back and look at the pain. It's easier just to live in denial and just pretend like, oh, we just stuff it down deep enough and it's not there, but not really recognizing how it is leading us to the life choices we make and the decisions and the belief systems that we have and how important it is to break free of those old ties.
Yeah. So if I can just give my simple explanation, because I think you explained it perfectly, but I would like to explain the how and the why part of that. So as I understand it, your purpose on the planet Earth is just simply to experience. Oh, what's my purpose? Life is for living. Duh, it's life. You live it. Okay. And so to experience something fully in 3D, because you're in a body, that means you have to express it in 3D in a body. Sound, movement, emotion must come out, not just mental awareness. Now, if you can start with that, you'll realize that anything fully expressed turns to bliss. So it may be hard to access it, but you get to this bliss state fairly quickly, not always instantly, but fairly quickly when it's given full release, when all the anger and the sadness and the stuff comes out. Then you're open up to source. If you're not fully expressing it, a density is created that cuts you off from that connection and that awareness. And to keep that density in place, the mind intervenes and puts a Band-Aid on it. And that Band-Aid is a set of unconscious beliefs that then become your operating system. Now, everybody knows about the law of attraction. What you don't know is that your unconscious is what's generating it. It's 1,000 times stronger. And for most people, when they do not express it emotionally fully, they put a Band-Aid on. And when in my work, it's usually 5 or 6 things. I'm not loved. I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve. I'm being punished. Okay. And so that's what they're unconsciously broadcasting. And then that's their life. So yeah, it may seem difficult. I work with people and I'll sit there and I'll say, hey, do you want to knock this out in 90 minutes or do you want another 40 or 50 years of suffering? Okay. And so it's like, yes, okay, maybe I'll just do it and get it done with. And then I can move into this bliss state and this open state. So that's the way I see it. It's really a matter of accessing and completing your full experiences so that you can gain the wisdom. You open up to source. Source gains the wisdom. Source grows. God grows. We're the cutting edge of expansion. And that's how I understand it.
Well, I agree.
Right, of course, because
Yep,
you
yep,
play in those realms, of course.
yeah, we're right in alignment here. So with that being said, the other thing that you kind of emphasize on your website is the expansion in consciousness. So people again, sometimes people don't really know what consciousness is. So in your definition, what is consciousness, and what are the benefits of expansion of
So
consciousness?
consciousness is the whole game. Okay. So one of the processes that I've received and I help people is understanding I am existence, consciousness, bliss. I am existence, consciousness, bliss. Consciousness is that which is both observing and what it is observed. Okay. It's pretty much the whole game. When I was at the ramp to school, he described it as consciousness plus energy determines the nature of reality. Okay. And so it is the awareness and the focus. Now, who is doing the awareness and focusing? If you understand that we're all fractals of source, that source wanted to expand by getting different aspects of itself out there with the gifts of free will and forgetting. So you don't have to do what always has been done. You can come up with something new, right? Because you have free will and you forget. And just on Earth, there's 8 billion fractals doing that every second, right? So it's just the universe expands. That's the whole game. If you understand that, consciousness is the part that is doing the creation and observation. So when I say expand consciousness, really what it is you're pulling out of the third density and moving into a bigger picture. It's like you're climbing up a building. And instead of on the first floor where you only see to the tree line, you're on the 10th floor and you see all across the horizon. And then you go to the 100th floor and you see all the way to, the end of the planet. And then you go to the 1,000th floor and you're in outer space. And consciousness gets bigger and bigger. And really it's the consciousness is all the same. It's your awareness of it, because you can move through your densities. And I just want to just briefly talk about 3D, 5D. It's not dimensions, it's density, it's energetic frequency, moving from a compact low frequency to a higher, more expansive frequency. That's what I mean by growing consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah. And going back to, that's the way that I always understand it too, is that this 3D world is very dense, thick and heavy. And then the 5D is lighter. And I always feel it like fog. If fog could be what we are, it's kind of like that light, airy energy.
And as I understand the game we're playing, and this is what makes Earth so unique and so cool, is that it's not like, oh, I need to get out of this because it's hard and it sucks, and I need to go take me to heaven, take me to the promised land, ascend. No, 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 no. We're bringing heaven to Earth. We're
Yeah.
seeing if it's possible to bring this expanded awareness to a denser plane so that we can have all the pleasure, all the excitement, all the stimulus of being in 3D with the awareness and the consciousness. We're You're probably familiar with the term ascended masters. The goal of ascension on our planet now, as I understand it, is embodied masters.
Mhm.
I mean, wow, I can't imagine how fun that's going to be.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yes, we're on the same page.
How did we
um,
not meet before this, Lisa? It's like we're like this, okay?
I don't know, but we're definitely going down the same path for sure. So another thing that you mentioned on your website is that ascension is your passion, and while we just kind of just discussed it, but what does ascension mean to you?
Yeah. So I like to look at it in terms of 5D skills and abilities. All right. And so, can I channel 5D skill and ability? One of my favorite ones is automatic knowing. When I'm in the field and I can sense what's true for me and what's not true for me, because there's no one truth or not. We live in a multiverse, but is this true for me or not? Can I automatically know that? All right. And so, those are some really important 5D skills. When you embody those, you have the steps towards ascension. For me, ascension is when your consciousness is expanded to the point where you're all that is and all that's present in your physicality. Okay. And when you can actually mix those two together, then you're in that ascended, you're living as an ascended being, you're in this ascended state. And you can tell when you get there because causeless joy. And
Yeah,
anything fully expressed turns to bliss. You keep doing your expressions, you keep seeing it from the observer standpoint, and then you just see the beauty and the synchronicity of it all. And you're just in that state of connection and therefore in that state of bliss. And so imagine what Earth would be like if everybody was living from causeless joy. Imagine what the news would be like and the YouTube videos or the people getting together to talk what they talk about if it was causeless joy instead of all the other stuff. That's
yeah.
ascension.
Yeah, and again, I agree. And the records, my guides always call it. They refer to it as the institution of joy.
The
Is that
institution.
we're moving into the institution of joy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Amen.
yeah, yeah. But I do find it really interesting that that you bring this up because we look at my struggle that I have now is that, like, whenever I look at YouTube videos, I look at the thumbnails, I look at the titles or the descriptions of any articles or anything that's out there, the news, whatever. And it seems like we are so geared towards fear
Hmm.
that this just, it's the gloom and doom thing. I mean, and here I am on YouTube and I'm sitting here saying this, but if you really think about what is the trend of how you name your thumbnails, how do you describe something, and it's, oh my God, the end of the world, it's everything's changing and it's this crazy thing that's happening, and people are attracted to that because we're so ingrained in fear. So for you to be able to say, what would it be like to live in this place of joy? Can we please hurry up?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the whole thing. Do I run? Yeah. And you know that as you do this, you get lighter, you get less dense, therefore you age less, or you can reverse aging, right? That all
Yeah,
happens. That's a whole
yeah,
nother discussion. So
yeah.
I got to deal with the divine. I'm going to work my ass off, and I'm going to be here where the planet tilts, and we get to go to the other side of seeing what that's like. Now I play the YouTube game, and I'm always trying to get views and clicks because it's an income stream, and I'm still playing that
Yeah.
on the 3D thing. That's why I sit there and say, "Oh yeah, come to my website, becomingawesome.one, book a
Yeah.
session with Tracy and I." We actually 3 days a week give them by donation. So it's not like it's all
Mhm.
just pay us, pay us, pay us. But
Mhm.
anyway, so we're playing the game to try to get people towards us and stuff. But what's really, really fun to understand in playing that game is the key is sovereignty for me.
Yeah.
You always seek out that which is going to affirm you, because that's, you don't realize that everybody plays the victim card all the time. And so they're poor me, and then they have to be afraid and all that stuff. And I'm like, I want to empower you, one, to be your fear so you can be free from it. And two, to understand that the system is set up to keep you afraid. And at a certain point, you choose what you attend to. And at a certain point, you give the middle finger to all those ones that are trying to bait you with those fear titles. And you realize that these are people who are saying just enough truth to bring you in, but keep you in the fear, I'm a child mode. Grow up. This is your time to be a spiritual adult, an adult of God, not a child of God anymore. And that's
Yeah.
going to just fade away. So I see that as just part of the game. And the more it's out there, the more it's reflecting to me, yeah, there's a lot of people who got a lot of work to do. But the good news for me is I subscribe to the bubbles of heaven theory, that each of us who go far enough in our work, we create a field around us. You know this, you've experienced it, where people are around you and they don't know why they feel better, or they instantly get a release because they start crying or something, because they're just in your presence because you're generating that. When
Mhm.
enough of us are on the planet with bubbles of heaven, we're going to hit critical mass and we pop. So I look at all the chaos and all the poor me, victim, fear stuff as a really good sign that we're getting close.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think that, what you're saying is, again, how I feel. People have such a hard time with, well, how is this going to happen? How is this institution of joy going to happen? And, what my guides always, it's going inward. It's just like what you're saying. You've got to let go of these fears and these belief systems that are keeping you that in that victim place. And then when I can work on myself and I can expand and I can be that pure love and that joy, then you walk down the street, and I always see it like little glitter particles, like the
Mm-hmm,
glitter.
mm-hmm.
It's
Right.
just,
Your
it just,
perspective is
it,
bigger because you're more ascended, and therefore you see it. Yeah.
yeah. And it's contagious. It's contagious, just like fear is contagious. Love and joy is contagious as well.
Yeah, and it's gonna hit critical mass. I just want to tell a story, if I can briefly. So I've been working with
Please.
this lady for about 6 months, and she's been doing a session every 2 weeks, and coming to our classes and stuff. And I cannot tell you. First of all, I'm in love with her because she's got everything I had growing up, except more. Right? All the torture, abuse, fear, loathing of the self, all that stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this lady started off in this terrible, terrible situation, and just yesterday we just did a weekend intensive class, and I could see her in between every process. The consciousness expand. Now she's aware of channeling. Oh, I have this ability. Now she's aware of the grace of her divine. One of the things we did is we do a create your own God exercise, where you write down everything, how God relates to you. Doesn't answer my prayers, makes me wait, doesn't know I'm there, etc. And you just scratch it out and put in what you want. Always takes care of me, anticipates my needs, gives me the solutions before I ask for them. And then you start praying to that God, your power of creation. Anyway, so she can actually has this thing where she calls it her divine Nana. I love it, the grandmother. Okay. And so she actually has this relationship, and it's palpable. And so I'm hearing more and more joy. I'm hearing less and less of the victim stuff. And I can watch this happen in real time. And I've seen this happen in so many people. So I know it doesn't matter how far out there you are, how down you are, if you're willing to step up. Oh my God, so much can happen. And that's what excites me. And that's why I know we're going to make it. I made it. I was against the odds. I'm watching her make it, as you give, you receive, right? So because
Mhm.
I'm focused on ascending and helping her and many others come across just like you're doing, guess what you get? More of the ascension. And that's
Yeah.
how it's all going to be. So I'm actually very happy by it. And yes, it's super frustrating.
Yeah. 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 But so this is a direct input or inflow into this next question, because the question is, how do you perceive ascension occurring in today's context?
Yeah. So I'm starting an app project. The goal is within a year to have a complete ascension program where if you work it 4 or 5 days a week for 20 minutes or an hour, you'll be in this state of expansiveness that you and I live in. It took us years. I don't know you. You might have been gifted and just got it. It took me years of work and gifting to get there. But the people who worked with me and gifted me, it took them decades. right? The energy is strong enough on the planet now so that if anybody just puts their focus towards it and then actually does their little bit of work, they're going to get huge results. And so it's kind of weird. It's like you can do a channeling and you can do that through a video, right? I can do an energy transmission, right? I didn't even know how it worked in person, and yet I can do it through a video. And that means we can do it through recordings. That means we can do it through an app. So it's going to be out there for everybody, available very soon. And part of it is the bubbles of heaven are expanding. Enough of us had done their consciousness work that we're going to move away from the guru trend. Oh, they're the special one, they know. And we're going to move away from the workshop trend. I must do another workshop. I must do all this. And it's like, no, I've got clear steps laid out for me. I can make this transition. Let me do it. So for me, that's how it's going to happen.
Yeah. And again, I agree with that too. And I do think that the old school way of teaching and being, just like you said, the guru, I think that is falling away. And I've always felt like, my guides always told me or shared with me, all I am is the mouthpiece. I
Mm-hmm.
am not,
Mm-hmm.
they asked me, I've been doing this work for over 20 years. 2003 is when I started. And shortly after that, when I just got started, my guides came to me and asked me, would you be our mouthpiece? And I accepted.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that was good or not, because it has been a struggle, but that's beside the
Because yeah,
point.
because they give you work, right? But it's the
Yeah,
funnest work
absolutely.
ever.
Yeah, they're going to test you and say, are you still game, regardless of whatever you have to face? But what the point is that it's the understanding of you and I about us being able to set our egos aside, and we are just us. We're just being us. I'm going to share the words. If it fits you, then that's good. And if it doesn't, let it roll right off of you.
Yeah,
You'll just
yeah,
take what you need. And there's so many of us that do this work that are so amazing. I have met the most amazing people, including you. And being able to recognize that we are all here for growth and for this shift and the change of love and compassion and caring for one another in this beautiful joy of institution. And we are not in it for the I just lost the name of it, the pedestal. We're
yeah.
not
So,
here for the pedestal. We're just here just to help people feel better.
so
And,
can I just put a little twist on that?
yeah.
Because everything you're saying is completely true for me. I mean,
Mhm.
I was paddleboarding a couple of summers ago and I said, Spirit, why are you giving me all these gifts? And Spirit said, because we know you're going to disseminate them. And the more you choose to disseminate them, the more we're going to give them to you. Right.
Yeah.
Now, part of my understanding and teaching is that I'm human, so I must do this as a human. And it's not leaving my humanity behind. And my humanity, and I believe this is universal, craves significance. Every little
Mhm.
kid growing up says, Mom, look at me. I can do this, right? So I do that too. Oh, look at me. I can channel. Oh, look at this. And I want all that. I want the money, the fame. I want all that. But I understand that that's just satisfying a human element in me, which I must recognize and must appreciate because I am human, right? That's the whole game. Bring this to humanity, right? But it's not me coming through when it comes through, it's spirit. And now that I'm merging, it's hard to say whether it's me or not because it's like spirit. And so the
Mhm.
whole thing is spirit says, Peter, take all the credit you want. And no, it's spirit. So
Mhm.
I'll always sit there and tell people, look, I'm telling you this because I want you to think I'm smart and you can be impressed by me.
Mhm.
And here's the message that you need to hear, which, by the way, comes from spirit, not me. I'm just a
Mhm.
mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, please give me credit for it.
Yeah.
It's like being that duality for
Yeah.
me is how it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting road, and again, like you said earlier, I started on this journey. I didn't just happen. I've been doing this work for 30 years. Started in 1996. This is not just something that I just jumped into. It's been a journey, and Lordy, I'll be glad when it's over. I mean, I'll be glad when I finally get to this point to where, because again, we have to weave in and out and figure out how to maneuver through that 3D world and the ways that we've been created as humans. And then
Yeah.
again, this hasn't ever happened, this shifting into this new way of being. And
Not a
it's
whole planet all at once, definitely not.
absolutely, yeah, and it's a struggle, and it's, we've got a lot to work through to get to that place. So
See, for me, it's like it's not like we're going from 3D to 5D. We got 1 foot in each, which means we're in 4D. This is the playground. This is the learning how these energies work. Because the way
mhm.
I understand it, if you don't do your complete internal clearing work and you still have the unconscious programs running of I'm not loved, I'm not lovable, I don't deserve, I'm not worthy, and then you move into 5D fully and you have manifestation abilities, what are you going to manifest? Crap. Okay. If you have the ability to flip through timelines like we can do in Ascent when you're ascended, right? What timeline are you going to go to? Right. So we're in that place where we go back and forth and we learn. And in a human sense, yeah, it's a struggle, but in another sense, man, what an adventure. Oh my God. It's like one of the funnest things I've ever done in my life was river rafting, like rafting down the Grand Canyon, where, I was like a trip leader and it was our private trip. There was no guides doing it. So we had to load boats and unload them every day. And it was hard work lugging all that stuff and putting it up the hill and setting camp up and tearing it down. And then you have to row through all these rapids and stuff. It was super hard work. But man, it was the funnest thing ever. Right. Except Ascension's even better than that. So yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of that earthly challenge, but I'm not going to use the word struggle. All right. I'm going to use the word of, yeah, come on, bring it on. I want to, what is it? I want to have the big kid experience. So give me the adult ride. Give me all that includes.
yeah. I've actually changed my language over the last year of really this is an adventure.
Yeah.
It's because
Yeah.
we don't know what's going to happen. And
Yeah.
so instead of being afraid of if I let go of this old belief system, then how am I going to have control? Well, let's try it and see what happens. Let's go on the adventure. Let's
And
just
I'm
see.
sure clients just come to you right and left because they sense something about you. They see you, they feel it, they know it, and they internally desire it. And they show up with you, but they're still scared and shaking and like, oh. So the game for, at least for me, and I'm guessing for you, is okay, how do I move them from that place of, oh, this is difficult and struggle into places which they've their whole lifetime avoided and said is scary, so they can come through to this causeless joy and bliss. That's the game. And yeah, I don't even have good words for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think that everyone on earth is it possible for all of us to ascend to this level of consciousness that
So
we're talking about?
possible, yes, likely, no. Here's the way I see it. We're a free will planet, okay? So we're here and we get our choices. And a lot of people are choosing to run and hide. We had like that big pandemic, and that gave a big opportunity for many people to leave the planet. And we've got lots of choices along the way where it's going to be, ooh, do I really want to go there? You hear some channels talk about bifurcation. And I think that's incorrect. I think it's multifurcation. It's just you furcate because we each create our own universal, our own universe, our own reality. And so it's going to fracture into a lot of different places and then eventually coalesce when enough of us come on board and we get into oneness and feel good about it. And I'm pretty sure that tons are going to go running. Tons are going to go hide and say, nope, nope, nope. And so they'll just go to another cycle. As I understand it, it took about 26,000 of our Earth years for this cycle for us to get here. And as I understand it, this time humanity's going to make it, unlike the 4 times we tried and didn't make it. All right. So it's kind of cool. And so they're going to go to another place and get to play again as much as they want. Now, can everybody make it? Absolutely. You would not have punched your ticket to be here at this time to experience this density if you weren't resonant with it. The whole question is, are you still worried about, the day-to-day stuff, or you're worried about the soul stuff? It's like people say, come on, I did this. I was in therapy. I did your clearing. How come I don't get it? And I'm like, how many lifetimes do you think you've been around and tried this? How many thousands of years of karma do you think you're clearing right now? And the fact that you can do it in one lifetime is really cool. And you're complaining that you didn't do it in 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something to that.
I know, it's
Yeah,
hilarious.
it's like, it's that old onion scenario. The most recent is on the outside of the onion, and that old stuff is down there at the core. And
Oh, I
how
got to
long
tell
does
you a
it
joke. Got to tell you an onion joke. I heard this from
okay.
one of the monks at Oneness University. It's just like an onion. You peel all the layers back and you get to the center and there's nothing there, but you cried a lot.
Yes, she did. Yeah, there's something to that. So, when you said earlier, we were talking about, you used the term causeless joy, and and then that's when I talked about the institution of joy. What is your definition of causeless joy?
All right. So your natural state of being, as I understand it, is consciousness, existence, bliss. So when you're out there in the expansive state where you're just connected, then the underlying frequency is joy. If you look at that whole frequency thing we're talking about, you're ascended, you're in an ascended state, so you're at a higher frequency. And when you translate that through our earth sensors, our body and stuff, it just feels good. Okay. So I understand causeless joy as you resonate more on these higher frequencies, so things just feel better. A lot of people, we do courses on how to pray and stuff like that because manifestation's a big thing, learning how to use your manifestation skills. And a lot of people assume that miracles are only you pray for it and you get it, like Sai Baba can open his palm and diamonds would appear, or Jesus could turn water into wine. But there's other kinds of miracles. A second kind of miracle is when somebody comes up to you and speaks the word of God. They call it bodhisattva in Hindi, I think, in Sanskrit, where somebody gives you the answer to your problem that you hadn't heard before because you were just ready for it. But the third kind is the coolest kind. Nothing changes and it doesn't bother you anymore. The same crap is out there. You're still dealing with it, but you're still walking around going, wow, I would normally be super upset about this, but I'm just feeling good about it. So that to me is causeless joy. It's the manifestation of the third miracle in every part of your life.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where I see that when we're ascending, or when we're breaking through this old way of being, I always see it as the person sitting in the middle of the tornado, in the lotus position. And it's like
Isn't that
all of the
so
chaos
cool?
and all the crazy is going around, but you're just sitting here in this place of bliss.
And if you take two tornadoes and put them one upside pointing down, one pointing up, and spin it, it naturally creates a Taurus field, which is your natural energetic field. And so you're in that causeless joy because you've come to the truth of your energy. And yes, of course it's a tornado. But
Yeah,
yeah, you're just sitting there observing it.
yeah,
And to me, this was a hard lesson. You're the actor in the play. You're also the script writer in the play. You're also the director, and you're also the audience. All right. And when you get all those things and understand it, because your awareness and consciousness is big, it's not a problem. None of it is. It's just causeless joy.
yeah. And that's really hard for people. It's like, again, let's go on the adventure and not freak out. Let's just go on the
Or
adventure and just be the observer instead.
if you're working with me, because that's where you want to get, if you're working with me, what I'll say, oh, freak out as much as you can. Really get into it. Crick, scream, yell, and let it rip. Come on, you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly, knock a few chairs over on your way out of the room. Really let it go. And then look inside and see what is it in you that you keep attracting and expressing and unconsciously believe. Then you'll complete the clearing. You express it first, and that breaks the energy loose. It's no longer held in the density places in your body, which eventually turn into old age and disease. You express it, then you see what overlay you mentally put there in your unconscious that becomes your operating system that's attracting all the crap to you. And then you're free and released. So yes, you're going to get to the observer state, but I just want to encourage everybody, let it rip. Don't worry about being the observer right now. Just really, sit there and I don't want to
Scream
say
and
go
yell
out and
and cry
slap
and jump
somebody,
up
but
and down.
yeah, I don't want to say go and slap somebody, but occasionally a good drive-by fuck you just hits the spot.
Amen. Sometimes you just have to.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So you do have several books out, by the way,
Oh
that we
yes,
haven't
yes. If you're
mentioned.
watching this on a video instead of the audio, you'll see the books over my shoulder.
Yeah. So you do have several books, and they talk about expanding our frequencies and expanding the consciousness. So can you kind of give I know we can't put it in 3 book worths, but just kind of narrowing it down to some quick fundamental things that people can understand. Number one, why do we want to expand our frequency? And what are some tools or some quick things that people can use to
Yeah.
do that?
So I was guided to put this out there, and so I broke it down because I was a teacher and university professor and all that stuff. And I have a very good skill. I'm gifted with the skill of making complicated things simple. So that was my strength. So that was why I was directed to write these books. So I took everything I could see that worked and everything that spirit guided me and my wife to put out there, and just laid it out into 3 books. And it's 3 levels: connecting with your higher self, becoming God realized, realizing there's no separation between you and source, and then doing service, because everything you want to get, you give, right? As you give, you receive. So exactly. All right. So that's just the whole gist of 3 books. Now, to make it easier for people, on our website, becomingawesome.one.one, you can sign up for free tools. And there's little things that say, start here. And it'll just start you with the tools. And it's like, the way the first 3 steps in the first book is, you got to awaken, which is lessen the gap between mind and awareness of all that is. Kind of open that up so that you have more awareness of this and you're not just your mind all the time. And then you identify and systematically, just one at a time, knock them off, all the densities. Oh, well, this happened when I was 12 and I didn't fully experience it. And then so-and-so did this to me in high school. And then my mom did this. And this happened again with my dad. And literally that stuff's still in your body if you haven't cleared it. And it's still running, fueling an unconscious program. So you systematically clear that. And then you just start talking to your higher self like they're in the room with you. And that's it. It's like, so beautiful. I was talking about that lady having this experience. She's like, so I want to connect with St. Francis. How do I do that? And I go, let's do it right now. And she goes, what? I go, yeah, let's do it right now. So just notice everything you can notice about where you're at. She goes, okay. And I go, now welcome in St. Francis. Say, St. Francis, you're welcome here. Okay. Now notice where you're at. She goes, oh, it's kind of this little softer feel. I go, okay, that's him. That's him walking in. Now the game is, how do you start to interpret that? And so you just talk to the spirit like they're in the room with you, and don't expect an answer, but you keep doing it. Because if you keep reaching out to them, and then one day you don't, what are they going to do? They're going to come and reach out to you. And then we say, oh, I got this, but I don't know what it means. Stop that. That's your mind. You start with what you get and you expand it. People think I channel, right? I don't hear words. I'm in an energy field. I'm translating it. And I know if the translation is correct because it continues to feel a certain way. So I just make up words. And if they feel right, yeah, I'm saying the right thing. And if they don't feel right, I'm not. And at first I doubted it, but everybody says, wow, that was profound. That really helped, right? So I watched this in real time with this lady. She met St. Francis and she's like, yeah. And so I'm like, keep me posted on how it goes. And so that's all in the first book, how to do that.
Good. Well, there was a couple things that you mentioned in there and in that explanation. And one of them is the higher self, is connecting with your higher self. So what is your definition of the higher self, and why do we want to connect to it?
Yeah. Well, so it's like this. I understand us as fractals of God. All right. We're all little God bots expanding the universe, because God, source, whatever, if you're already all that is and you already know everything, it's pretty boring after a while. How many millennium do you want where you just know and are everything? So the only way it could figure out to expand was to break its consciousness into fractals, into little discrete pieces, and give each of those fractals 2 gifts. One gift was forgetting. I'm not part of this, so I don't have to worry about what I'm supposed to do or who I have to answer to. The other one was free will. I could do anything I want, right? And so it creates all these different permutations. Now, of course, in the human place where we're worried, we got scripture and all the commandments and all of this and that, and that's all great and everything, but really it just puts you on one track. That's why I love channeling the dragons, which we started with. They're like, no, let's go on another track. Come on, it's out there, it's available to you. All right, so the game is then to complete experiences so this connection stays open and this information goes back to source. So now, going back to your original question, okay, if I'm a fractal of source, well, what fractal am I? Well, am I this universal consciousness? Am I, on the other end, me, what I call Peter D, or you, what you call Lisa? Am I the higher self, which is the memory of my past and future lives? All right, that's what I call the higher self. Am I the soul, which is that is propelling those memories of these past and futures, right? Am I part of an oversoul, which is a group of even bigger souls? And you just go all the way up that ladder up until you hit source. And so for me, higher self is just one step above.
Okay. Well, good, because a lot of people don't know that. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody kind of understood that language, because a lot of the other thing is the oversoul thing too, that a lot of people don't really understand what that means.
I haven't
You
even figured that one out yet, Lisa. I'm just still enjoying that me and my higher self have merged. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
what's next? See, that's the whole thing, is you think you're really there, and then you see that there's even more infinite possibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's so much to this thing. Being able to, go through different dimensions and all of this time jump and all of the different things. It's like, okay, our little minds can't fully comprehend all of that. It's just so expansive that, yeah, it's hard for us to really to see that. So once I let's just say I finally decide that I'm going to jump into this little adventure and let go of some of my past blockages, trauma, belief systems, whatever it may be. How do you what do you see that are some of the things that are key obstacles for people to pass through to this other way of being, this higher dimension?
So my motto, if you watch any of my YouTubes, is clear, clear, clear. So I'm just going to say that to you. Clear, clear, clear. And by clear, I mean you identify that which is in you that is dense, and you give it full expression. You don't try to get rid of it. I work with people. Oh, get rid of this bad feeling. No, 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 no. Welcome it in. You're welcome here, fear. You're welcome here, terror. You're welcome here, self-hate. And you let it grow till it burns out. And then in that moment of opening, this is critical. And a lot of people in the new age don't understand this yet. Never take something out without replacing it with something better. Because what happens is your unconscious will backfill it. So you'll have this temporary gain from the workshop or the book you read or the session you had. But then a week later, you're back stuck where you were because you didn't backfill it. All right.
Mm.
And so what you do is then you open up the spirit. The simplest way is, hey, divine, you kind of know what's next, and I'm not quite aware of it yet. So just give me the good stuff. Just fill me up with auspicious qualities. And I always have people imagine liquid gold light coming into them and breathing in their cells, because, imagery really helps allow that. But the whole point is, if you do things like, let's say you identify that I'm feeling like I'm worthless here. Well, what's the opposite that? I feel like I deserve, and I'm showered with gifts. So then you can just use imagery again to see yourself in those early situations, early in life, where you are being held. I have people be held by your divine mother, your divine father, not your physical mom or your physical dad, your divine God coming in human form to nurture you. Have them hold you. And in those places, make a connection and ask them to give you these auspicious qualities. So to me, that's the whole important thing. Yeah, clear systematically, because you got a whole backlog, a whole lifetime. And then you just let source do its work. Give me the good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So you dealing with this type of energy work that you do, and I'm calling energy as memories, and because it's all energy.
It is.
Everything is energy. How do you understand past life karma?
See, this is it, because it's the whole thing. So there's 3 simple kinds of karma, even though there's more, but we're going to keep it simple. There's everything that happened in this life. There's everything that happened from conception to birth. And there's everything that happened in your past lives. The deal is, if it's in one, it's in all. If you clear one, you clear all. So you can approach it by looking through past lives and systematically, this life, that life, to knock it out. You could also approach it by looking in this lifetime. If any reoccurring pattern in your life, I'm always broke. It's my fourth divorce. I don't know why. I never seem to get healthy. Then, oh, it's a pattern. Well, what that means there's a dense energy, which is attracting new experience to it to try to break loose. Okay. That's all it is those densities have a self-correcting mechanism built in, bring new experience. And then you either express it and fully complete it and you're in bliss, or it gets bigger and bigger and then you die from old age or suffer whatever you're suffering. But if you get it in one place, you get them in all. So I kind of specialize in, let's deal with birth through 6, because that's where most of this imprinting takes place. I'm guessing, because I don't know, I haven't had a session with you yet, you're kind of on the past life end of that. But to me, there's no difference. You get it in one place, you get it in all. And so what I see is as karma, and again, because it's a free will planet, you as a soul said, hey, I'm carrying an energetic frequency that I've experienced a bunch of time in other lives. And quite simply, I'm tired of carrying it. There's no right or wrong or punishment. You create your own realities here. You're writing the story of your life and all the chapters of your lives. Okay. So it just says, I want to change. I want something new. Oh, Earth is going through ascension. I resonate with those energies. This can create the perfect time to do this. And in fact, I can get it in this life. I can get all my lives. Oh, and by the way, because Earth is going through ascension, I can tap into those energies. And if I clear my density that I bring to the planet, I will lift these things off the planet for other people to make it easier.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's how I understand this. It's just your soul just decided I'm going to be a warrior. I'm going to be a hero. I'm going to come to the planet and I'm going to deal with some stuff I'm just tired of just experiencing. And this is the opportunity. And it looks like, oh, I set up a lifetime of crap. But hey, that's just the physical game of the here and now to give me a clearing through all time and space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how do you think that past lives influence the challenges that people have in this life?
All right, so I'm going to give you the advanced answer, okay, because I don't want to play the kiddie game. All right. So it's not a linear progression. I was this and then I was that. No, it's not like that. You're kind of a soul. And then you go to the junkyard of lives and you go, oh, I want to pick that bumper off that car and I want to pick that engine off of this car and the interior of that one. And I'm going to put this package together because I believe it's going to give me the most clearing for what I want to achieve in my lifetime. And this is not just in your own category of lives that you've lived, but you can do this with others. This is why so many people sit there and say, oh, I feel like I've got some Christ in me. Or, we think they're delusional when they say that they're Jesus and stuff like that. Or, in my case, I know I brought some Marquis de Sade energy in with me because I really wanted to heal that. So I set up a lifetime where I was going to be tortured and abused as a kid and then have all the mental stuff of wanting to do that to others for a long time, and I'm pretty sure that even though I did some of that stuff in other lives, right? Because, you draw from what you know, but that's not the energy I brought in. I went to the junkyard and said, oh yeah, that guy really had it good. Let me bring that in and clear that off the planet. So that's how I see this it's not a linear progression. It's you go make your shopping list and then create the experience you want to have the clearing and growth you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's interesting that I've also had the messages and the understanding that in this particular lifetime, in order to shift to that fifth dimension, that we're in this process of breaking all of that old karmic energy. Have you felt that before?
Oh yeah, that's what it's all about. And and so in one sense, Lisa, the reason why we can say it's so difficult and struggle is because we collectively knew the opportunity was so great. So we just piled on the crap. Let's get it all. And thus many of us, you and many of us and more of us are rising up and becoming strong and sovereign from all this, tempered from fire. This is where the dragons can really help. They're like, oh, come on. Yeah, let's go get it. All right. Let's not be the sheep. Let's eat the sheep. All right. All right. So, so it's like we chose all that to make it difficult. I was talking to one person, another guy who does the kind of work we do, but he works with star seeds and he sent me an email. I said, oh, Peter, I can only meet for a little while because I have a session with somebody who's been really difficult. I'm going to have to spank them into accepting their power. I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. 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 Well, the other question, one other thing that I really want you to address, because this is such an interesting time, like as of today, like there's so much stuff that is being brought up that some people love and some people hate. I mean, it's all of these different perspectives. I mean, and I'm not talking about just the United States. I'm talking worldwide. This is a global thing. And when we talk about this ascension, it's not just the people that are having these conversations. Just because you and I are located in the United States, it is not limited to just us. It's the whole world. But there's so much stuff that's going on around the world that is pushing the way that we treat one another. You know, I can't even come. I mean, I'm trying to be politically correct.
Right,
So
right. Yeah, I would say screw
but
that, but I understand what you're doing. Yeah.
but some things, people had a little bit more freedom in living their lives, and then some of these things are coming in to where some of those freedoms are taken away, and so people are having a hard time understanding how we're treating one another, and they want to get mad, and they want to live in their heads, and they do have a hard time seeing that bigger picture that we're talking about. So when somebody wants to fight and wants to be upset with, I call it, what's being broken down. And how does somebody that's witnessing these acts? I mean, it can be something as simple as the war between Russia and Ukraine. Let's just make that
Yeah.
kind of simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you see one person or one country that's trying to take land away from another country. So that's a very easy thing for me to use as an example. So you have those people that want to fight and defend for the people that are taking their land away, but then you've got those other ones that are saying, yeah, we need to do this. This is what needs to happen. So when people are finding the injustice in their mind, because it can be on both sides, it's not one way or the other, it's regardless, both sides can feel like there's an injustice happening. How do people work through these emotions or these feelings at this time?
Yeah. So that is the big question. That is, you just hit everything right there in that question. So first of all, I am going to be politically incorrect and just say there's evil fucks out there. Okay. And it's not like they're evil or there's something wrong with them. It's just that they enjoy playing the power game and they enjoy sucking the energy of keeping other people down. They like the low density, and we're on a free will planet. So they're choosing that. Right. So the question is, what do you do when you're confronted by that? First of all, your insides always match your outsides. There is nothing else that is true. If you see it going on around you, it is going on inside you. That's why you've attracted it into your consciousness. That's why it bothers you. That's why you feel the pain of the injustice. So now everybody wants to rally. Oh, I got this cause. I have to fight for the environment. I got to go join the army, whatever it is. And that's all great, except it's 3D. And if those solutions worked, we would not be there, right? But you can play that game because you have free will, and you can enjoy that. Or you can sit there and say, okay, so this is going on and these sides are doing this and I feel this deeply. What is it in me that attracts this into my awareness? And again, you're going to find, oh, I feel like I am being unjust upon. I am being hurt. And then you go right back in and you find all those past lives, or in my case, ages 0 to 6, where you felt like you weren't good enough, where you weren't worthy, where it wasn't fair, you weren't listened to, you were put down, you were bullied, you were hurt. Almost always by your parents, sometimes in very small ways, like mom just came home with an armload of groceries and didn't have time to give you a hug, so you felt like you weren't loved, or in horrible ways where you're tortured and abused. So it's all the same thing in your unconscious. And so you have to identify that if that's going on outside me and it really hurts, what is going on inside me that I would be open to that pain? And then you just heal it there. And then when you do that, your bubble of heaven grows, and then you move into a new timeline. You don't understand yet as a person who is in suffering in 3D that you are creating the timeline where that's going on. And because we share it and have the agreement to share on the planet, we see it expressed as war. So you want world peace, you get it here first. And then as your bubble of heaven grows, you either pop into a timeline where that doesn't take place, or we all go and nobody has that. I mean, I've seen it happen a lot. I've been with people who have abused me or have been horrible to me. And because I've done my inner work, I can talk to them freely about it, and they'll have no memory of it.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. And at first I thought they were just in denial, but it happens so often. And I talk to other people, they start saying, yeah, yeah. It's like they're different people. So you stop the war by stopping what it is in you that is anchoring the war on the planet. I've seen it change with how my neighbors treat me night and day from what used to go on. It's like, is this even the same person? And you're going to get used to it. This is the power of creation. Now, you could go continue to play the game, but if you do play the game of, oh, they're evil and this is wrong and this is unjust and it hurts me so bad and so I have to fight it externally, then one, you permission that, right? And then two, you're putting your effort and your focus on the external. And as such, then that energy puts you in the duality, which keeps you in the low frequency, which then feeds the controllers who are living off of the fear and the power.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And that's the key, is the people that are the controllers, and breaking down that. The more of us that can do our work, the more of us that can find that place of joy and happiness, that causation of joy, that if the more of us that can find that, and the more contagious that this is, the fewer controllers are going, they're not going to be able to control the way that they used to. And then those people, like you said, the people that used to be the controllers, they're going to start shifting and changing as well.
Yeah, I don't know where you are with this, but for a long time, all the fear talk was about the Draco aliens controlling the leaders on Earth. Well, most of them are gone. All right, we've done enough work to clear them off the planet. All right, so the lower 4D entities, there's still some of them, but now what happens when you have how many centuries of control, and then all of a sudden these minions have freedom? They're just going to be acting out even more terribly, and you see that expressed in wars and stuff like that. And in one sense it's beautiful. We've got some freedom, and then we're realizing, oh, people are rising up to fill up those evil roles. So the game is not, oh, let's just fight them again, because then we just start the cycle all over, except instead of external control, it's internal on the planet controllers. The game is, oh, I see you for what you are. And this is not the Jesus turn the other cheek teaching, although that's part of it. Okay. It's like, I'm going to allow all the pain to pass through me, and then therefore you cannot enter my field. I've had this happen where sometimes I would find myself during a process being teleported to when they were doing the clearing out of the tunnels and stuff like that to free the kids on the planet. I would find my consciousness there, and I would just, because I was in the observer state and had the compassion that comes with that, I would just go into Ho'oponopono and start praying for these kids because they didn't have the ability to it. And then I would notice all the 4D entities around me, the Dracos, try to attack me and get me out of there, and they couldn't touch me. They couldn't come into my bubble because I had no judgment about what they were doing. I was in my own world of bliss. And so I didn't say, oh, you're bad and this is good. None of that, because that keeps you in a low vibration, and they could have done the attack and moved me out. And instead, I was just doing my work on the energetic, etheric level by just sitting there holding the observation of what was. And then because I had compassion within me, because I cleared my own stuff, not this, oh, I must be compassionate. That's right. None of that. That'll keep you in the low vibration if you're still crusading like that. Then I could enter into that and start to shift the energetics and move them further off the planet. Because it's like a lot of people are relying on help. Oh, we need our star brothers to clear them. It's for, no. They're here because we permission it. And we permission it by our unconscious belief that we deserve it. And when we step up, then we move them off. So we're doing the work. They were just helping us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I thank you for sharing that, because I know that this is for people like us and people that are starting their path and getting into this type of work, or recognizing that there's something different that's happening. I can't tell you how many people that I've had that really are struggling with staying in their mind and the fight, and going into this place of, I got to work on me. I got to do me.
Yeah.
thing. And
Yep.
it's really hard because it's our programming too.
Right.
And it's
We're reprogramming the big computer. We're
yeah,
reprogramming it. And that is the work of Ascension. That is what we showed up to do. And yeah, who said it was going to be easy?
yeah,
Although it can be.
yeah.
When you're on this side of it, you laugh. Oh my God, I did
Yeah,
that. It was really hard, but oh, cool. Right. But when you're on
yeah,
the other side of it, ah!
yeah. But what I see about it is, oh my gosh, it's so much easier though. I really like not having a knot in my stomach. I really like not having my heart clenched. I
Oh
really like
gosh.
not
Yes.
having to worry
Yes.
about what's going to happen tomorrow and doing all of this stuff. Boy, it's just so much more freeing. And again, it's happy. It's just getting to our happy place.
I'm in love with you, Lisa, because I can't help it. You're authentic, and whenever I'm in the presence of somebody who's authentic, I'm in love with them. And so
Um,
it's like I fall in love with all my clients because they show me their inner pain and stuff like that. I mean, it's like
um,
I'm an empath. My wife Tracy's an empath. So when we do sessions with people, we help you shoulder the load. Now we can't heal you. I mean, we could,
mm,
but then it would come back in 10 minutes because you got no skin in the game. So we don't waste our time, right? So we just go in there and help you shoulder the load so you can move through all this stuff that is dense. And then after you get some experience with it, you get lighter and lighter. And then you get happier and happier. And then your mind, which used to be an enemy because it was afraid it was going to lose control and was telling you how hard and difficult, says, come on, let's go do this. And, you start going to the gym regular, you get strong. You start clearing your charges regular, you get ascended.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, okay, so we need to wrap this up. We're actually a little over time. Did you have anything that the last parting words of wisdom that you want to share with people?
Well, because I'm in 3D, I want to do some same shameless self promotion. And that's our website there, becomingawesome.one. We have free tools, free, right? So you're playing the poverty game. We even got tools on help to help you with that for free. We also have sessions by donation 3 days a week, or you can pay us, which we'd be super happy to because, yes, we're still paying bills. Okay.
Mhm.
So I just want to say that's available and we can help you get to these states of consciousness. I've seen so many miracles, and sometimes it can be one. Usually it's more, but I've seen it happen where people just pop in one. I'm like, whoa. So that's the message I want to leave you with is not just the shameless self promotion, but Lisa, you and I have talked about this can be work. And of course it is, but it's the great work and it doesn't have to be a struggle. And the cool thing is you're not alone doing it. Lisa's so beautiful in her energy and the stuff she offers. And I'm out there, my wife Tracy, and there's many, many of us. So the big message is you're not alone. And if you can access, if what you're feeling resonate, what you're hearing today resonates with you, start to go to where you're drawn and know that you have that help and allow that in. And then you'll feel that love because you're allowing the connection from source in. And then because there's a part of you, we were talking about oversouls, right? There's a part of you that right now is sitting there laughing. And then there was that moment on planet Earth where it seemed so difficult and you were all ready to pack it in and all your friends will burst out laughing. Yeah, I know it's hard. And you'll say that. That's already happening. And if that's happening, the reality of your transformation is happening. Are you
Yeah,
going to embrace it and let it in? That's what I want to leave you with.
yeah. I like that ending. Thank you. So, Peter, thank you so much for being here. Gosh, I appreciate it. It was a great conversation. And for all of you guys that are listening, thank you guys for being here as well. And we'll see you next time.